everyone and welcome to Rhinofeed. Today I'm going to review the Lenovo S400 Touch. This is from their IdeaPad series. It's a mid-range to low-end laptop, although it's got a very sleek design. Doesn't have a DVD drive or anything, so it's very lightweight at 3.4 pounds and 0.86 inches thin. Nice and portable. I really like the design of it. This top portion actually doesn't pick up fingerprints whatsoever. Well, actually, you can see it, like in the right light and reflection, you can see a few, but it hides them very well. On the interior, it has a black matte finish, though, that does pick up the fingerprints and grease near the palm rest. So that's kind of disappointing. I don't know. On their website, it kind of looked like they had a version of this that had the black portion on the outside and the silver version on the inside. And if there is that option, I'd definitely go with that. The specs of this notebook are the Intel Core i3-3227U, clocked at 1.9 gigahertz. It's not Haswell or anything, so you're not going to expect the most amazing battery life. The integrated graphics, of course, are the Intel HD 4000. So moving on from that, it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 500 gigabyte hard drive, although it boots up probably in about less than 20 seconds, shuts down in less than 15, and wakes from sleep very quickly, probably less than about 7 seconds. That's like my guess. I didn't time it or anything, but it is very quick, and for not having an SSD, I don't know if it's Windows 8 or what they did with it, but very, very good in that respect. Another thing is there is practically no crapware when you get it. There's about 3 or 4 software. Off the top of my head, there's McAfee. There is Intel App Up, which is sort of an app store like the Mac App Store, only on Windows. And then there's a webcam software called UCam, which I find very bloated and slow and sluggish and blah. So I would just use whatever software you're going to use, like Skype, for video recording. It's a 720p webcam. Well, actually not Skype, because it reveals your IP address. So I would go with Google Plus Hangouts or something like that. Anyway, that's besides the point. The battery life on it, a lot of people don't like it. I did my own testing. It ended up being about 2 hours on the dot. But that was with watching YouTube full screen, like watching just a playlist that automatically plays through. And that was at 70% brightness with Adobe Flash running and everything. And it didn't get very hot. It has feet on the very bottom here, so it is raised off of the desk. Of course, I had it on a hard surface, but the fans didn't kick up and crazy loud at all. So I was really impressed by that. And the fact that it was 70% brightness with Adobe Flash, I thought that was pretty good. And the bonus is it's a removable battery. It's a 4-cell 22 milliamp hour battery. So if you want to swap it out, if you're desperate, you can definitely do that and buy an extra one. Also, I want to mention the AC adapter is minuscule. Look at this thing. The brick is so piddly tiny. So I thought that was a really good bonus. If you're traveling, you don't have a stupid brick for a portable laptop. All right, so there's the design. On the right side here, you have your AC adapter, 2 USB 2.0, headphone jack, SD card slot. On the left side, you got an exhaust vent, your Ethernet jack, which has sort of a door, your HDMI port, and then your USB 3.0 port. Moving on, let's open it up. One thing I wanted to mention is that the screen, when you pick it up, it's kind of poorly designed in that respect. It's a very good hinge, and I don't ever expect it to break. But opening it up, even on a hard surface like this, yeah, the hinge is just a little bit too stiff, so you have to use your other hand to open it up. Design flaw. Seriously. They need to loosen that hinge just a tad bit, and it'll be perfect. The screen, I'll talk about that. The screen is not an IPS display, as you would expect, because it's not the most expensive notebook. It's got very poor viewing angles. Other reviews have stated like 45 degrees. I don't really know how to measure that. I don't have a fancy tool to do that. But if I was looking at it, it looks okay here. It stinks like right here. And then that's like where you get all the color discoloration. So, and the same if you're looking up or down, it gets very washed out this direction and very sort of blue and miscolored that direction. So if you're looking straight on it, I think the contrast actually is very good. The brightness is quite high. It's not the brightest notebook out there, but I mean, you shouldn't be outdoors with a notebook anyway, so indoors it'll be just fine. And it's got a terrible resolution of 1366 by 768. It's really annoying that way. I wish it was 1400 by 900, and they could have done it based off of the bezel here. The actual LCD panel is underneath some glass, but there's about maybe a 1/4 inch around of the glass not covering anything. So you'll see the plastic bezel, and then you'll see the glass bezel with no LCD, and then you'll see the LCD, which that kind of bugs me, but I'm very persnickety about those types of things. And like the title says, it is a touch display, so you can poke it if you want to. The Windows 8 interface, you can use that. But honestly, install Stardust back and your life will be much happier. The next thing I want to talk about is the keyboard. Lenovo is basically saying that they've done a great innovation here by calling it AccuType or AccuTouch, something like that. And all it is it's a chiclet keyboard with a curved key style, so they're not perfectly square blocks. I type very accurately on it. I think it's a great keyboard. The only downfall of it is that I find is the short backspace key and short right shift key here. But the bonus is with that you get dedicated arrow keys, and you also get home and page up and page down. So some people might really like that. Also on the arrow keys you have the indentations, or whatchamacallits, doodads. Well, if you're looking at the home row key here, on the J and F keys there's a little divot there. Well, on your arrow keys there's also a divot there, so that's kind of cool. It's not backlit or anything, but I wouldn't expect that because it's not a high-end notebook. The touchpad is pretty darn good. It has multi-touch gestures and integrated buttons, which are very clicky. The only downfall of it, with 2 fingers scrolling, I found that you have to have a very specific spacing to your fingers, otherwise it's not going to pick it up, and you can't do like an slight angle in any way. So it's finicky in that regard. For a notebook of this price, you can't really be too picky. I just bring a good mouse around, like Corsair M60 or something like that. I have one right over here. On the bottom, you're not going to be swapping out any of your RAM, but it's got some intake vents right there. Oh, one last thing I want to mention is the speakers. They're good for nothing. Just kidding. They're on the bottom of the notebook, so they're going to be muffled by anything unless you put it on a hard surface. There's no bass whatsoever. You're only going to get the high end and slight mid-range. Slight mid-range. I know. So, there you go. Thank you very much for watching this Rhinofeed review. I hope you've enjoyed. Please subscribe, like, comment, and all that good stuff.